Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BETSPERTS.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. It is Wednesday, and I got to tell you what, Andy, I am bringing the positivity to the show today.
I was just going to say,
lifting this up.
You know, the way you say welcome is often a bellwether. It's you know, the eyes are the window to the soul. Not with you. Your eyes are always cheery and sparkly. It is your welcome that I can tell, like, oh my God, Drew needs like a wellness check tomorrow. Positivity is good.
Positivity today.
And
bring in the and you know what? There's two reasons. Number one, I've obviously been losing my ass in the NFL this year, so it's been a grind. But this is a respite. I enjoy this. I love getting together on Wednesday and breaking down the card from end to end. And I'm not going to bog that down with the dead bodies that have been the 2021 campaign. On top of the fact that it's getting dark, the holidays are rough. It's getting cold.
You know what losing bets are? Dude. Losing bets are like ex-girlfriends.
Kindling
don't
for
worry
the
about
fire. Like you don't put ex-girlfriends in the fire. You throw the losing tickets on the fire, keeps you warm in the months of winter. Realistically, Andy, dude, this is like 60 degrees here. Man, we are like it is really winter has set in here, and you could feel it in sort of the spirit of gambling Twitter right now. It's in a little bit of would you say a dark place? a little bit of a rough spot right now.
Everyone's being super mean to each other. I mean, just be cool. And Patrick McCann brings up a pretty good point. Champions League want to know Andy today. Dude. I made two bets, but one of my Champions League bets got snowed the fuck out. Atalanta. Apparently, I forgot to check the weather in this Italian soccer match, and it turns out.
Did that help you or did that hurt you? You think?
I thought it was going to be a snover.
A snover,
as Brett says,
right? Yeah,
like just full yakety sax for 90 minutes and people falling down, goalies doing snow angels. Like it would have been a lot of fun, but no. That's the thing too. Like, regardless of how your betting goes, like you should have a short memory. If you're doing good, you're doing good. If you're doing bad, you just forget about it anyway. Like it has no bearing. I mean, I shouldn't say you should forget. Don't forget everything. Like do take a look at what's going wrong. If the market is repeatedly disagreeing with things you're doing, take a look at maybe
that's time to self-evaluate. Yeah, that's time to self-scout.
I think constant self-evaluation is important.
Sure.
Watching how the market reacts to things, looking at even hey, I had a 5-1 week or a 5-1 day. You can have a 5-1 day, and like basketball is a good example of it. And it's like, man, 3 of those wins I didn't deserve. Like,
sure,
I caught 3 overs. 2 of them were overtimes, and 1 was just a crazy amount of fouling at the end. Like those probably shouldn't have got there. Like, do some self-evaluation every day. And yes, Drew, other people are saying it's not as warm there. Dude, we have 5 to 8 inches of snow coming Friday night.
Hey, you know what?
I'm gonna.
We're bringing the positivity. We're bringing the warmth. There's going to be a lot of humor, a lot of happiness in this show. Not and try
some caroling.
Try to turn the tide a little bit here of some of the negativity that is swirling around gambling Twitter at the moment because of the time of year. This is a tough time of year, and you actually should take it easy on your mental health. Give yourself all of the checks and balances you need to keep yourself in good working order. I probably need to take it a little easy on the old drinking. Certainly not helping my well-being. So I think I'm going to take a couple nights off here and regroup on the weekend. But either way, love this card. Love these matchups. It's a great week of NFL football.
Big cat.
Love
this card.
Because there's a lot of really good divisional matchups, man. We're getting some rematches of games we saw earlier this season. We're finally seeing some NFC East teams tilt. This is some good stuff to kind of sink our teeth into on this card in general. But before going there, I just want to give you my macro on the AFC, since that is a hot topic right now. A lot of people really want to talk.
Drew's also super high.
No.
Happy episode 420.
No. Is it? Is this episode?
It's episode 420.
Oh, shit, man. We should have.
Remember, we were going to get super high.
Yeah, we were going to get super high. Yeah, we were going to get super high. That's right. excuse me, before we get to the actual
dry
card,
mouth?
before we get to the actual card, let's ask, let's go macro on AFC, because that's the hot topic right now. Anyone's conference to win. In fact, the fact that the Patriots beat the Bills, like, that really did kind of kick the door in here, because if the Bills win that game, if they're in the driver's seat, if path goes through Buffalo, we're probably having a different conversation. Right now, path goes through New England for the time being, although Buffalo gets a chance to right that ship there. I'm just going to make some baseline assumptions in terms of the way I look at this and kind of walk you through what I think the playoff field is going to look like. And you tell me where you disagree. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. 2 AFC East teams make it.
Yes.
2 AFC South teams make it.
Yes.
2 AFC West teams make it.
Yeah, I'm there.
That leaves 1, the winner of the sad, difficult, brutal schedule, AFC North.
I know it kind of looked like we were going to see a couple, maybe even 3 teams with a shot at the playoffs there.
Yeah.
And the schedules are just brutal on each other, and
no one's got injuries. A home stretch that looks soft. Everybody's going to lose games down the stretch there. 1 more loss for the Browns, you can rule them out. 2 losses for the Bengals, they're in deep trouble. Steelers, they have a gauntlet. They're going to have to win them all to get, win a bunch of these to get in, win that AFC, the AFC North. I don't know that I see it. Ravens, they could lose out. Considering the loss of Marlon Humphrey. Absolutely fascinated to see how that team responds after losing such an important player defensively this week. And oh, by the way, playing a team coming off a bye. Weird, quirky, terrible schedule spot for them.
Andy's tried to do this before. I don't ever get excused from thought exercises. I like this one.
Okay, so basically, I'm at Pat's Bills. One of those 2 teams wins the AFC East, and we don't know yet. I am not giving the crown of that. I'm not writing that ticket. In fact, back of my head, I think there's value in the Bills to win the AFC East, but we will table that discussion for another time.
Ooh, Dan was all over that. He had the schedules laid out, and the tiebreaker is kind of like they each have a couple of toughies, they each have a couple of gimmies.
Yeah.
And if they win, if they split, there's really just like no possible way that Buffalo wouldn't have the first tiebreaker.
I think so too, yeah. Especially if they win this week against the Bucs, which
that
doesn't really help them in the tiebreaker, but it helps them in the overall.
That would be massive. Even losing against the Bucs. Dan's but now I'll give producer Dan some shine here. Dan's play was after they lose to the Bucs to back them to win the AFC East, because there's a decent chance both teams finish with the 6 losses, and you can the tiebreaker, almost certainly there was almost no way I could figure out like how the first tiebreaker being divisional record after head-to-head wouldn't go to the Bills. So anyway, where were we going with this? Because we're 8 minutes deep and we haven't talked about Big Ben yet.
Let's say that I got the script and I see the seedings here for those 7 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee gets the 1. Easiest damn schedule. So stupid. Tennessee gets the 1. I'm going to give the Chargers the inside track on the AFC West in the 2 seed.
Okay.
I'm going to give the Bills the 3 seed.
All right.
I'm going to give the AFC North winner to be determined at a future date, the 4 seed.
You can live with that.
5 seed Chiefs.
Oh my God, Niagara! What are we doing?
6 seed Pats. 7th seed Colts. Any of these matchups, any of these teams really stand out to you in terms of future value in the AFC, if that's sort of the way it shakes out?
I said it last
combination thereabout.
So I said it last week, and I'm kind of probably still stuck on this, but the Colts, as much as I don't like how they've put this team together, it's working, and they can beat anybody, especially late. Like we joked about this, and this will be my closing point on the Colts. We joked about the Colts are probably better away from home. So the Colts as a 7th seed I'd be happy about that. There's no chance they'd ever play a home game. Let them go play in New England. Let them go play in Buffalo. Let them go play up in Pittsburgh, in Baltimore and Cleveland. Yeah. Put that defense and that running game out in the cold, harsh elements of December and January, and just let them eat at a big number. There's like 20-1s and bigger to win the AFC. So Colts, I'm probably going to be looking at a Colts.
Colts path. Whether the Colts path is going to be like, in my opinion, the Colts path is going to be either Chargers, Chiefs, Pats, Bills in round 1, and then they're going to go to Tennessee round 2, and then they'll be a third week in a row on the road, week 3 against whoever is left standing. And yeah, they're live in all those spots in my opinion. So yeah, Colts 20-1 AFC I think is worth a sniff. Sniff it around it.
Worth a sniffer.
Yeah, worth a snifferoonie. They're getting healthier too, which doesn't hurt. And Carson Wentz, not my guy, but Frank Reich's making it happen for him. So, fascinating matchup for them between the Patriots next week. Both teams coming off of buys. Okay, let's dive into the card. I think that was worth kind of at least kind of talking through, and we'll start with the Thursday night football game where the Pittsburgh Steelers again streaking. Wait, no, they lost 2 weeks ago, right? Yeah, they got their brains.
Oh no, they have a winning record
by Cincinnati. Yeah, Steelers 6-5-1 taking on the sad sack Vikings, who coming off a short week, coming off an embarrassing loss. Presumably you get an honest effort out of these guys. They're 3-point favorites. Market not interested in much Vikings here. Public not interested in much Vikings here. This has pretty much gone one way. Everybody's fine taking some Steelers with the points, and I don't really agree with that. I think this Vikings team is still good in the back of my head. I've just gotten burned enough by them this season that I'm going to skip this one. Total has gotten bet down pretty aggressively. 45.5 on the open. I'm seeing 43.5, 43 at Penny. So this is an under look for a lot of the sharper players. And a game that I guess good luck with your under. This Minnesota Vikings defense sucks. I don't know what to tell you.
That's where I'm a little sketched by this movement. And yes, the Thielen stuff, and Dalvin Cook is still injured, and Madison will be filling in there, but and they're probably going to be able to throw in this defense. This defense is still dinged up. They're not getting everybody back. They still have injuries. It's TJ Watt's playing great. Maybe not like, defensive player of the year great, but close. Like a solid silver medal effort from him. He's a fucking favorite right now. I'm so mad about that.
Is he?
Yeah. Well, our guy
He's leading the sacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
God
so
damn, stupid county stats.
Minnesota still should be able to do something against the secondary. Osborne's not a bad receiver, and obviously they have the best receiver in the league. I'm going to say it. I think that's his ceiling. I hate like ranking people because from week to week it's different, but like Justin Jefferson's ceiling is the best receiver in the league. He's just as good as Diggs, Hopkins, Devontae Adams, any of these guys. Like, he's great, especially when he gets the ball that many times. He's going to get the ball so many times. They're going to key in on him. It's still not going to matter. Osborne and the tight ends get the ball a lot. Ooh, James is ahead of me here.
Oh,
I was thinking like over 20. It's going to be like an over 23 and a half.
Yeah, that'll be low.
Like, I really do think the Vikings, I get the steam coming in, but I think the Vikings will find some points here. I'm kind of out on this other than maybe some props. You could take the Vikings. I know some people have been hammering like Kirk to throw receptions over or completions over, Osborne overs, a few things like that. I think the Vikings will be throwing the ball a lot, but I'm not getting involved in this side or this total. And if you wanted this under, you kind of missed the boat anyway.
If you want to be the buyback, any chance you get a last stand here out of the Vikings?
I mean, they're not out of the playoffs, that's for certain. I mean, they could still finish 10-7. That's
home
good
game,
enough.
prime time. Do you get an A+ out of these guys?
I really, really struggle with Zimmer right now. Like, he's regressed as a coach. Like, if he loses this one, super hot seat. I can't believe they didn't like shit can a coach or something this week. Like do the sacrificial. Oh, you know what? We got rid of the tight ends coach because we were so mad at this game and it was all his fault. And it's not trending well for Thielen. Like keep an eye on some of these injuries as we get the final injury report probably today.
The other thing that scares me about a Vikings team total and why I wouldn't really run to the window to get involved in that one is their offensive line is pretty sus. And the TJ Watt situation makes me want to pull my hair out. But it is what it is. Myles Garrett gets his chance against the weak-ass Ravens offensive line this weekend. So hopefully he can replicate that 3.5 sack performance that TJ Watt got last week. I want to go back and look at the tape too. I think he got a little bit of a home scoring credit there for some of those sacks, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. So no play. Thursday Night Football is kind of a kind of an game. Meh.
Vegas heading to the middle of nowhere in Kansas City. It's it's a lovely town. I know.
Yeah. Delicious barbecue.
Kansas City's a great town.
Spirited fans.
We drove from St. Louis to Kansas City
that
once,
looks
though.
like the Kool-Aid man.
Going across Missouri is not
shirt.
Great.
Yeah, I believe
it was something. So this total also been bet down, and I get it. But at the same time, I don't get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I know which side I don't get. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We've seen the Chiefs offense just maybe never be right. But if you subscribe to the, hey, it's because teams are playing a certain style of defense and it's working and they're forcing the Chiefs to be uncomfortable and do different things, and the Chiefs are not making that adjustment well, this is the one team that just there's other teams, but this is the one team that not only we know off the bat isn't set up to put that kind of defense out there and be successful with it, but we've already seen it. It's happened one time. The Chiefs team total here is going to be under 30, and in a game where, how many did they put up last time, Drew?
41.
41 points against this team on the road. Yeah. Again, I'm not advocating laying the 9.5, but I kind of am. I'm going to be a paradox during this whole segment.
I did lay it.
Yeah, it's the only play. Like I'm laying it with the Chiefs, or I'm not betting this. Like, yeah, it's I looked at the over. I get that there's probably some correlation there. If you want to cover a double-digit spread, you're going to have to score a bit. So I think there's probably a bit of a correlated parlay if people let you do that to the 9.5 and the over.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's true.
Because either they put up like 38, or the whole thing falls to shit. So
yeah, the you want to get Jesus Christ, the Raiders team total is 19.5. That's not very respectful. I get it, because it's the other thing. It's like, it's December, it's outdoors, it's Kansas City. People maybe just assume it's going to be cold. It's going to be like a balmy 53 by the temperature in the afternoon there. And there'll be some winds. I'm seeing 15, 16 mile an hour winds projected. But Kansas City's never been a place that's been overly impacted by the wind. It's a pretty deep bowl. That said, maybe that is why this under's taking a little bit of steam here, because it's certainly, if this line has come down from 10 to 9 and this total has come down to 48.5, and that implies that people are buying in that the Raiders defense is going to stop this Chiefs offense, I'd love to know how, because they don't have the personnel, they don't have the scheme, and I laid the Chiefs here. Anything under double digits, I think, is a fair play. And the Chiefs defense, like, they went from wildly underrated to overrated pretty freaking fast.
Yeah, like
that was real
Daniel
quick.
Sorensen pimping that touchdown was like, buddy.
Oh Jesus!
That was the third place medal meme. Like the guy with the champagne and stuff. Like, buddy, you've been getting roasted all year, and a ball fell into your lap. Congrats. All right, so
that is what that was. I didn't even think of that.
100%.
Oh god, that was great.
So yeah,
that is great.
Good game though. It should be fun. I hope he just beats the shit out of him again.
Yeah, that'd be the most fun outcome for me for sure.
Jason Sehorn catching strays tonight. Jesus.
Ooh,
that's
ouch.
A good comp,
yeah, that is a fair comp. Yeah.
Married to Angie Harmon.
Angie Harmon's husband. That's right.
What was
SVU?
No, just the original Law and Order.
The original Law and
Order.
The original.
All right, we're taking a time out before we get to New Orleans. Back in my day, we only had one Law and Order. It was called Law and Order. There wasn't any special victim units. There wasn't any of that. New Orleans heads to the Meadowlands to take on the Jets.
The scene of Law and Order, famously.
5.5.
New York.
Yes.
Yeah.
These are their stories. The Saints are 5-7. This was a team I liked a lot at the beginning of the year, and obviously we are in a bad situation injury-wise. We're like, hey, when are they going to get their star receiver back? As it turns out, that was never. How was Jameis going to perform this year? Turns out that's an incomplete grade. We didn't get to see a full year of him. Ingram now has COVID because they can't have nice things, even if it's a backup nice thing. Kamara may play, though.
Okay.
Kamara is looking like he may play, and boy, like, is that enough to back a backup quarterback on the road? It wasn't like he was awful. I get a little more comfy. It's a pretty bad secondary. It's I probably am not going to show, if I look at my numbers right now, I'm not going to show value on New Orleans, but I just can't get behind taking the Jets. It's like an extra 2 sacks when, the rookie's back there. Like, I would take the Jets if they started Flacco. I'll just say it.
Wow. That's how little you think of Zach Wilson.
He doesn't take stupid sacks or make stupid YOLO balls. He's actually like semi-composed Joe Flacco. He's an elder statesman at this point. So, yeah,
it's still a terrible matchup.
Yeah,
Saints have a gnarly D-line.
This is a good one to not watch.
The Saints defensive line did well against an absolute top-tier offensive line last week, which means
how
are probably
the Jets' offensive line?
Diggity dominate. Bottom 5 easily.
Yeah.
There will be crime. Speaking with the Law and Order theme, there will be crimes committed against football in this game, almost certainly from both quarterbacks. Total down to 43.5. Is that low enough? Jets team total under for secret pod play consideration. Let's put it in the queue. 19.5 here. It probably will be Zach Wilson. I don't know how he scored 3 touchdowns against the Eagles last week, but even with 3 touchdowns, they only had 18 points. So 19.5. Let's think about it. Could see a shutout.
Yeah,
no other opinion on this one.
I make a little value on this under, but the fact that the Saints getting after it feels like there's going to be a bad turnover or two, and you're going to be pulling your hair out as
kickoff returns or whatever.
Yeah, the Saints have the ball at the 15. All of a sudden, their offense hasn't done shit most of the game, and Taysom comes out after a strip sack. So,
all fair points.
Fran at Cincinnati. I've never lost money on a San Fran at Cincinnati game, have I? And look at this. The Bengals are having a better record.
My read on the Niners is dead on the money this season. Every time I bet on them, they choke. Every time I stay away or bet against them, they look amazing. So congratulations to the Niners for a win against the Bengals, because I did not bet this game. So I'm on a self-imposed suspension of betting 49ers games, despite the fact that my numbers would have made this Niners by 3. Bengals, interestingly, in a difficult spot with the old pinky finger of Mr. Burrow potentially getting injured in that last loss.
His knee is also bothering him.
Is that right?
Oh, good call. Super Bowl 16 rematch.
Worth mentioning it for those who are following along. We are using the Vegas rotation numbers, which has this one 3rd on Sunday, even though it's the afternoon game. This one kicks off at 4:25, so it will be effectively in the this is probably the game of the afternoon window, I'm guessing. In LA, we're probably going to get the friggin' Chargers instead of this one, which is vexing me.
Seeing some better play from the Bengals defense. If Kittle's working and Jimmy G didn't look horrible. He's doing some things that are making me. I still don't understand the story of the season. Like, why did you make all those moves to go get Trey, and then you used him a little bit here and there? Sure. And then this is what we end up with.
Oh man, yeah. By the way, speaking of the Trey Lance pick in number 3, Mike Lombardi, who just went at me on Gil's show this morning for the podcast we did before the draft, and misrepresented some of my point of view on that. Most of my criticism of the Niners at the time was the process oriented issues, and the fact that they traded away all those assets to move up to 3. And if they really wanted Mac Jones, they could have just stayed put where they were, and he would have been available. We know that now because he made it all the way to 15. So the fact that they gave up all those assets to move up to 3 to potentially take Jones, I thought was fair criticism. Ultimately, that's a great question.
So and I mean, dude, not to stomp on it, like that was the criticism that needed to happen. Like the process was fucked. Why couldn't they have flexed one of these CBS games? We talked to Brinson about this once, and they can. It's like striking jury members and stuff. They can protect games. Like, no, we want to have that one on our television network. You can't take it and put it on Sunday night on a different TV network. So sometimes they do protect these. I think that might be what happened, because if you realize what we're getting for Sunday night, feels like they probably tried to flex a couple and were unsuccessful. I lean Niners here. I lean a little bit to this under, but I'm not betting this game.
Yeah. The other sharp folks we talked to in the space really love this over, for what it's worth. So
good. Yeah,
keep that in the back of your head, I guess. As far as
just
playing the total, it's been bet up pretty aggressively. This was, I think, our sharp friend in Deutschland.
Maybe that's why I'm fine with an under 49. I'm the buyback.
He got a good number, better number than.
Now that you mentioned, I did see that.
Yeah, so let's keep moving. It's going to be a good game. I'm excited to see it. I hope the Niners win, because I'd like to see the Niners in the playoffs. I feel like it would be fun to lose money betting on them in the playoffs in some way, shape, or form. So I'd just like to see them in the mix. They're just a fun team in general. They're a team that brings some experience, which is always fun as a handicapping angle when it's playoffs. Let's move on to Jacksonville at Tennessee. The Jaguars are not really worth spending much breath on. The Titans are hurt. Guys are coming back off of COVID. Julio Jones maybe coming back off
Julio practiced today. He's off IR. So he was activated. He practiced, or he's eligible to be activated, or however it works. There's a lot of rules, but he probably plays. I think that's a big deal. I heard somebody talk about the Titans and be like, oh man, they're not good now. And it's really like, you lose the heart of that team. You lose Derrick Henry. How are you supposed to recover? Motherfucker, like they lost their receivers. Like, I mean, it's cumulative. It all adds up, but losing a couple good receivers for several games is going to hurt. They're still 8-4. They're still absolutely in the catbird seat in the AFC. I almost said North. I feel like they should be in the North sometimes, even though the Oilers were even further south. But they are in the AFC South as it is. This should be a gimme, but there, as we can see, there's no gimmies. The Bills lost to this team. They should hopefully take this game seriously and just get out there and make it happen. Who's the backup running back whose name is escaping me right now? He practiced today as well.
McNichols.
Yeah, McNichols. He seems like he's going to play. Like, if they have good injury news here, they should be able to hang the biggest weakness. The secondary can be beat, but we've just seen Trevor Lawrence probably is going to be a good quarterback once he gets a good coach and some of these skill position players put around him. He's been put in a bad position. Yeah, I feel for him. I wonder sometimes as we go through the years and you see some of these just stud rookies get drafted by, face it, like high-end quarterbacks often get drafted by bad teams, and bad teams are either bad because they're rebuilding or they're bad because they're poorly run. Yeah. And you want to be on the one that just had a bad couple years as they're rebuilding. Because if you get drafted by the Bears, if you get drafted by usually the Browns for a while, you drafted. There were places. I'm not saying it's a bad place anymore. I think they've changed the culture up there in Cleveland. I'm not so sure I can say that about Chicago. But for like Cade McNown, and I just can think of all these players that landed on those teams just didn't have a shot. God bless Jay Cutler for stepping up a little. But I digress, and we'll go back to this one and say that Trevor Lawrence, I'm hopeful for his career. I don't think I show value on either side of this game, but maybe I'm going to play. Maybe I'm looking at one of these 7.5 point teasers.
The only thing I'm interested in looking at in this game is what Trevor Lawrence's rushing yardage total ends up being, because he's going to come in real close to that number. It's going to.
Your preseason.
Yeah, real close to that season-long number. No other interest in this game, and really no idea what the Jaguars are doing. None of their they were basically running like basic run out the clock offense for all of the second half against the Rams. It was literally like, so you're not even going to try to see what works or evaluate any of your players. Okay. It was really, really weird.
Good game. Have fun.
Sloppy team. Sloppy team too. Just zero focus. It was a gross game. Let's move on to Baltimore at Cleveland, which, this is a game that we've talked about or thought about now going back to June. You look at the schedules when they were released.
Sunday.
Yeah, we bet a good number.
We said
on Sunday.
This shouldn't be a pick'em, and then the Humphrey news.
The Humphrey news moved this.
And it's funny you say, but Andy, he's a cornerback. He doesn't play offense. He shouldn't move the number that much. The fact that it is now a cluster.
It's
a cluster
one.
injury.
Yeah.
Now they're missing 2 very good cornerbacks for extended period. It has become a cluster injury, and that is bad. Even with a dinged up, hurt. I still hope we see Case Keenum at some point for this team. I think long term, if you have Browns futures, you kind of want Baker to just finally succumb to one of these many, many injuries and have to sit out the rest of the year. I think Case would be fine, but Donovan Peoples-Jones is good. Like they have a couple good receivers. You have a couple decent tight ends. You got 2 good running backs. The offensive line, despite an injury, has been pretty nice. And if Baker can get his shit together under pressure a little, maybe be a little healthier, this is not only a playoff team, but a team that can probably win a playoff game again like last year. They've just been so up and down. We got to see the team that absolutely hung with Kansas City week 1 and just looked great for 3/4 of that game. God, I wish they would have got that win.
I know it, right? Or the one against the Chargers, or the one against or the one where they picked Lamar Jackson off 4 times 2 weeks ago.
So
a lot of games that I really wish we could have a redo here for the Browns on their schedule. But the one thing I'll point to is Marlon Humphrey had a bad game when they played the Bengals. He was a little messed up in that one.
Yeah,
it was not peak form from him, and without him playing at an All-Pro level, that defense completely fell apart. And I think there is a potential here. There is an error in the locker room. They may be looking around at each other like, how are we going to do this? whose roles and responsibilities here? Who's covering who? Like this could really have a huge impact. And on top of that, the Ravens offensive line is like very clearly bottom 5, very clearly. And for whatever reason, Greg Roman has not adjusted the approach to the offense for the Ravens. He's not giving Lamar Jackson any help in the short passing game, intermediate passing game. He's still asking him to try to make downfield passes.
And how's that working?
It's not. He's getting his ass sacked at just a mind-bogglingly high numbers frequency. And against the defensive line that has some serious horses. This should be a good one for the Browns defense to kind of set the tone, even if the offense isn't operating fully smoothly.
Who's Susan Sarandon's husband?
Tim Robbins.
What's Tim Robbins say in Bull Durham
when he's Nuke Lelouch?
Announce my presence. Announce my authority.
Yeah,
he wants to throw the heater. Like this is what Cleveland's defense needs to do. They need to come off the bye and throw the heater.
They do.
This offensive line is now missing pieces.
Yeah.
Over the last few years, it's just been attrition with retirement, some injuries, losing a piece here or there in a free agency. This offensive line is not as good as it used to be, not nearly. And this defensive line, when healthy, is scary as fuck. So Cleveland's defense steps up here. Lamar continues to make some poor throws. Announce my presence with authority. Thank you, Dan.
Throw the fastball. I want to throw the heater. Yeah.
He hit the ball. Guy gets a free steak.
That was a great movie. God, I fucking love it.
Really, really is.
All right. Well, let's keep moving.
What was the secret chat play last week, guys? I can only keep up with so many comments when I'm talking and listening to Drew. I missed it. I don't remember what.
I know they had Patriots.
I think the Patriots money line
was
wasn't it?
That against the Bills, yeah, right? Or the Patriots +4 or something. It was a number that did not exist when
The chat plays are kind of
New
crushing.
England money line, yeah.
Anybody
Chat is
can
sharp.
rag on us, but the chat plays are crushing it. I need to know what it is this week. I need to add it to the card. I 100% will add whatever the chat consensus play is to my card.
I think everybody was pretty much on board with us with Cleveland on Sunday. And like you said, the Humphrey news just kind of cemented that, and 2.5 is not enough of an adjustment for how
chat. And they only take money line dogs too. So, all right, we are on Cleveland. Do you hear? Final question before we move on to Hotlanta: is Cleveland still value at -2.5?
Yes,
I think
it should be
flat. 30. Yeah, if you don't have to pay 15-20 cents for a 2.5, if you can still get a decent number here. I agree. It's a play.
Yeah.
Another one we bet on Sunday was Atlanta +3.
Yeah,
I'm sure we got
that number's still kind of around. Somebody out there in the market thinks that the Panthers are live in this one. Actually, I take it back. It's 2.5 across the board now. So that's moving.
Yeah, you do have to pay extra for a 3 right now. So it's starting to move Falcons' way. Cam Newton is announced as the starter. I don't think that bodes well for anybody.
Moneyline price down from +145 to +117. That's the power of the chat.
Yeah. Okay. And Sam says this is the secret chat play is Falcons moneyline.
It's no longer a secret. Sorry, guys. We spoke.
Podcast listeners,
they might be pulling one off.
Disregard that. Dun dun.
Okay, let's talk about this game real quickly because we covered it. I thought fairly on Sunday. Panthers shouldn't really be favorites over anyone. Yeah, their defense has shown some flashes of you can build around that side of the ball going into the future. And I thought they had something pretty good going with what we saw from the offense in terms of scheme and kind of just in general the schematic advantages that they had last year, because they have 2 very good wide receivers in DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, in my opinion. Drafted a young guy to complement them in Terrence Marshall, who somehow has made it out of the active roster for whatever reason. And it was a surprise to see the news on Sunday that halfway through your 2-week break of your bye week, they decided to fire their offensive coordinator. Joe Brady was terminated. It happened again in a weird time in terms of when. And my gut reaction to hearing that was, well, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe there's something weird going on behind the scenes that we are not privy to, and I won't judge to conclusions. But then Matt Rule stepped up to the podium and opened his mouth and said, along the lines, and I'm
chased the guy all week to fire him.
And I'm doing the. I'm putting, my interpretation of his words would basically like he wasn't running the ball enough. I wanted to run the ball 30 times a game, and he just wasn't running it enough. And I'm now sitting here scratching my head like, that can't really be why, because Christian McCaffrey's been hurt for almost this entire season. When he was out there, the usage for him was absolutely ridiculously high. You're really upset that Chuba Hubbard wasn't getting 30 touches a game. Like, that's really what's going on here. And
anytime anybody starts to say let's say this is a game we have not played yet, I have no idea what the other team will do against our defense. I have no idea how anything will go. But before the game happens, I have set a number of running plays that I need to see. I'm so out on that.
So
like you can't. I mean, these teams where you see like, teams. Maybe he's looking at some of these stats, and be like, oh man, good teams run the ball a lot, and not realizing like, hey, they ran the ball 18 times in the fourth quarter because they're up by 3 scores. Like, I'm not sure if that was it, or he really does think they just have been that successful on the ground. Their EPA per play on the ground hasn't been like eye popping, like, oh my God, we have to run it all the time. So I'm just so out on Matt Rule right now. You're gonna have a weird offensive coordinated game.
Yeah,
you're going to have maybe some locker room issues. I think people like Brady as a person. I've never heard anybody come out and say like that they had trouble with the guy. No. So I'm not sure the locker room's going to love this move. And we get Cam Newton, and it's still the Falcons. Anything can happen. Once they're up by like 3 scores. So here's the play. It is Atlanta money line. When Atlanta's up like 24-6, you are alive betting the Panthers, not to cover.
But you were going with the different
to
score.
Win.
I'm happy with.
I was
24-6.
I was respectful of not using the triggering score line that from that one Super Bowl that they lost in the fourth
and
quarter.
Honestly, the fact that you would self scout if you were the Panthers and decide that the problem was the way the offense was coordinated is like that's like what reality am I living in? Like that's so mind-bendingly stupid. I can barely believe it. It's so fucking obviously the quarterback.
Did Virginia Tech hire a coach yet?
Oh, I don't know.
They did. Matt Dancing. Yeah.
They did. Most of the decent coaching hires, I think, are pretty much the musical chairs are over. So Brady he'll get an offensive coordinator job somewhere.
Oh yeah, Penn State's DC. Good call.
Yeah.
So Hokie is like a turkey.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, real, dangly thing and everything.
We've talked a lot about Carolina. Let's give Atlanta a minute. Why do we think Atlanta can play well here? Matt Ryan has had some nice games
because they have runner-up offensive player of the year, Cordero Patterson.
That is exactly what I wanted. That's all. That's why I said 1 minute. Cordero Patterson is being used in ways that would make Debo Samuel blush. Like he's so good in the way they use him. Like they've found this absolute like just cheat code for offense with a team that needs help on offense because they lost a receiver to, are we calling it just mental health? Like he just needed a mental health break.
Yeah.
They have a rookie tight end who's trying to acclimate himself and he's now the focal point. And that can't be easy, even though he was triple covered every day in Georgia. And that's why Kadarius Toney is a thing. So yeah, I think we see a good game from him. We see a cleanish game from Matt Ryan. The defense does just enough and they win this game. And it's going to be a tight one.
Yeah.
And honestly, I took the 3 because I have no faith in the Falcons to win a game. I took the points.
The Falcons have beaten up on some bad teams this year. Let's not forget they beat they beat the Jaguars convincingly. They got the Jets convincingly. They beat the Giants, not necessarily convincingly, but they beat them. They got to win versus the Saints and the Dolphins too. Like this isn't a total dumpster fire of a team. They have AJ Terrell who can absolutely defend his ass off. One of the kind of more positive stories at cornerback across the NFL so far this season. There's a little bit to like in Atlanta.
And Cam can't throw. He can't throw very far.
That's a good point too. Yeah.
AJ Terrell hopefully has a big day.
You know what? You know why you want Cam Newton? So that he can get the tough yards, the 3rd and 1, the 4th and 1. You know what? Carolina's not going to have a lot of in this game. 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, because they're going to be 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 all freaking day long. So let's keep moving. Ooh,
I got a bad number here. There were some 3.5s. The 3.5s got gobbled up like candy corn, though.
Did they?
There was some 3.5s in the market, and it quickly bounced back.
We're head to head on this one. So
okay,
no bad blood here. I know your position. I understand why you like your side. I don't know that you've heard my take on this game, but I would like you to lay out sort of, there's 4.5s out there. Oh yeah. No, this could go back up to 4.5. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I bet this game.
Yeah. Go ahead. What's the angle on betting the Cowboys here, besides the fact that there's some good injury news for them today?
Yeah, that's not great, but it's not one of my stronger conviction plays. But my numbers make it like 6. Washington, I've not moved up that much in the power rankings, despite the winning streak. They are probably a little overrated in the market here. They're missing. Are we going Ewing theory on Chase Young now? Like, now the defense is good. Like, it's not.
Is the defense good because they are getting to the quarterback more? I don't know that that's really why.
No. So defense is played up, but it's not been against a team I don't know. Let me. I don't know what to do with the Cowboys sometimes. I really don't understand like exactly what I'm going to get from them from week to week. Because when they hit their ceiling, they should drop 40 on this team. This offense is clicking. Pollard didn't practice today. That makes me feel awful about this bet because Zeke, as they've said, we've put on a bit of a snap count, and that sucks with Pollard out. So I'm a little worried about this now. If it's just Zeke, but Pollard hopefully plays. He just didn't practice today, and maybe it's going to be a good thing if Zeke is kind of dinged up and Pollard sits out, and they make Dak throw like 45, 50 times. Then Washington has no chance to cover this game. If they throw these 3rd and 1 like swing passes where Zeke gets tackled for -4 yards,
which they are going to do at least 5 times in this game,
then this is going to be close.
Yeah. My read on the Washington football team defense is that they're playing a little better because most of the kind of assignments and sort of the communication is better. Like there was a lot of busted shit going on through the first 6 weeks. Like just like, whoa, these guys are like, do they know what they're supposed to be doing out there? And that part of the easy to fix, low hanging fruit stuff has largely been corrected, I think. So they're just kind of playing cleaner football on the defensive side. The secondary is still suspect. They don't cover especially well, and in a completely you got distracted by the Sir Andy Murray prop. We'll talk about that another time. In a completely neutral situation, if this were in Jerry world, I would not want nothing to do with Washington, because the skill set that skill position players that they have, particularly in the wide receiver core, would absolutely light these guys on fire, light them on fire. And if you can't get to Dak Prescott, if you can't make him a little uncomfortable, which the Saints were able to do weirdly, they're not going to score. And it was interesting to see last week. I thought the fact that they were all fully healthy for the first time all season, and they made their team total by a half point thanks to a pick six. And that's troubling. And a ton of it is they are handicapping themselves with the Zeke touches. There's no denying this. Zeke Elliott touches are minus EV every time he touches the ball. And they're not even doing it because they think they need to. They're doing it because they're completely diluted in terms of his value to this offense. And people who are scratching the checks want to see X, Y, and Z. I think if Dak Prescott has 40 pass attempts in this game, the Cowboys probably win. I think if those pass attempts are distributed 85-15 to the wide receivers and tight ends versus the running backs, then the Cowboys probably win. I think that in general, the fact that this is being played in Washington on a very slow blah field in December is, by the way, rained half an inch in DC today. It's going to rain another half an inch on Saturday. That field is going to be a muddy, sloppy mess, and it's going to slow these guys down a hair enough that the Washington football team, I think, can cover. So I think this is probably an under game. 4 points is a little too much when there's the gap. The gap between these two teams is not meaningful enough that you should see a 4-point road favorite here. Maybe the kind of the cherry on top is just Washington is just playing a hell of a lot more confidently this time than they were earlier this season, especially on offense. They're pretty healthy offensive line. Antonio Gibson's having a good stretch now. McLaurin has a decent matchup against a coverage that really relies on the pick. I think this is going to be a competitive game. Cowboys get the win. I took the 4 points, so I'm hoping it's a narrow win.
And I need Parsons to have a big day, and I need the offense to figure out to throw the ball. And Antonio Gibson has been a bit of a problem. I think I'm just, not only am I a Dallas guy, I think I'm just trying to sell high on Washington at the same time. I still make this like 6. I can't get them there. I get that they've played decent, but none of those games have been like even the Patriots. How many people in the media have done that this year, where they are talking about Tampa Bay and they say the Patriots?
I think a lot.
Hector does that every time he makes a live bet on Tampa. He calls them the Patriots. Like, I don't think he's even catching himself. We all know what he means because we're watching Tom Brady play. I'm doing that all the time. But anyway, even the game against Tampa, it's just like, they got out to an early league. And that's the thing too. Washington with the lead is good. I wouldn't want Dallas. If Dallas gets behind, I'll turn this game off and watch something else. I don't see them coming back.
So Dallas did not look great. against Washington. Both times they played last year. You remember those, right?
Yeah.
Like real bad. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if that's a Ron Rivera is a good coach and Mike McCarthy is not kind of a thing. Might be. But clearly
they got to
there
play
was
it
no
two times in 3
that
weeks,
game.
just like the Baltimore Cleveland thing.
So here's where I'm at. I'm hopeful that this is a close game. I would even love a Washington win, I'll be honest, even though I'm a Washington under ticket holder for the season long wins.
Same,
because I got to tell you, man, that week 16 at Dallas, if that number is around 4, that's like too good to be true. You know, in the controlled environment, faster turf, that would be absolutely sweet. So hopefully that's how this breaks, but we'll see. Let's move on to a game that I have no action on and no interest in watching. And that is the Seahawks, who I have now made as mortal enemies, and the Texans, who are not 2-1, they're 2-10, and the only team eliminated from playoff contention.
Dan, give them some credit there. I love that.
Yeah. They have 2 wins.
2-1 and more. Oh, he took it down.
I'll say 2 wins. I'll say this way. I'll say 2 wins for the Texans. That's congratulations.
Good job.
Congratulations. What do you think about Seattle at this point in the season? No Jamal Adams now. I mean, Russell Wilson looked a lot healthier in that last game against the Niners than he did in the previous game against Washington. Is that the Russell Wilson we're going to get for the rest of the way? Does he have kind of a late season surge in him to try to make up and get into one of these wild card spots that seem like no one wants? What's your temperature on Seattle?
I was going to say it's not as if they're eliminated from the playoffs, which is
no one is in the NFC.
No, literally
no one.
Detroit can still make the playoffs if a million things happen, right? But yeah, I'm scared to even bring this up, dude, because this was like your angry rant from last week.
I'm over it now.
But I mean, you had a point. Most of your angry rants, I think, are just dumb. It's just you getting
I think that's fair.
This one actually sat with me, right? Like, why did they choose this spot to, like, hey, we're gonna try really hard now. We got like 8 losses, but it was
the going for it on 4th down that really chapped me.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, hey, let's do some stuff we normally don't do either. Like, let's get real aggressive. Let's not be conservative anymore. Now that the season's out of hand, some teams do that. It's just not a Seattle thing. So, Seattle, very, very much a mystery to me right now. But at the same time, we're getting Davis Mills, and it's not entirely injury wise. It is like if you got Tyrod Taylor benched. He's dinged up too, but they're saying like performance. This is no guy who wants to hear he's having trouble with his performance. And Davis Mills is stepping in to slide his hands right under that center's butt. Where does Russ play next year?
This segment sponsored by Four Hims.
This is and this is the thing too.
Yeah, that's
the underdog in that game.
It was. I'm while you kind of go through and tell me what your read on Seattle is from this point forward of the season, I will tell you what the cumulative record of NFC West teams as dogs are this year.
Okay, Seattle makes no sense, but that's nothing new. And they have good receivers. They have if the quarterback's hand is completely right, they're right. They're fine. They should win this game by a lot. Like, can you imagine if this was, let's say this was week 2. Regardless of what, let's say we're at the point where we have Davis Mills starting because Tyrod is hurt and Seattle hasn't been found out as a fraud. Jamal Adams is still new and shiny. The team hasn't fallen into this funk yet. This was like 12. Like the Seahawks were they were propped up as one of the better teams. Maybe it's not that much higher. they're still over a touchdown favorite on the road. So I don't like teasing a road favorite, but this totals 41.5. This is a teaser leg that I will have. You let me tease against Davis Mills, I'm doing it 100% of the time. 100% of the time works. 60% of the time. Yeah. Kinesia stays under.
So there's been 9 NFC West games this year. The underdog is 5-4 straight up.
What about against the spread?
5-4, obviously. Yeah. No one has covered and not won.
Spread has not mattered. We have a birthday shout out request on the Sunday pod. Is that a thing?
Right.
We had a birthday shout out request.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, was it Giorgio?
Giorgio, yes. Migliosio.
I'm going to look up how to say happy birthday in Italian, and I'm going to say it to him.
All right. Let's move on.
I'm not betting this. I'm teasing it.
Okay. Ooh, teasing it. Ooh, Seahawks
look at the total.
Teaser. Ooh.
I'm going to war with Russ, and I'm teasing with, on that theme, Army.
Okay. Ooh, that's fun.
The total's like 33. It doesn't matter if it's college. Army's like 7.5. You get in the Wong zone. I think it's a neutral site game in Philly, or is it in Baltimore?
It's in the Meadowlands for the first time since 2002.
Sure. Either way, the total is next to nothing. Army's a decent favorite. So Army minus 1.5, Seattle minus 1.5. Put it in the teaser. MetLife. This is that's my insurance company for my cars.
Ah, there you go.
Good job.
First time in the Meadowlands since 2002, I believe. I don't know why I know that off the top of my head, but I love the Army Navy game, so that's a fun look. Let's move on.
Very excited about that one. It's always a fun one to watch because it stands alone. You have like the other TVs on some FCS games. It's a good weekend to play bingo.
Yeah.
I like there's a bar I go to. They have bar bingo. You win some cash from the bingo. You watch the Army game. You lose the cash back on betting the over for the 17th straight year. Didn't come in again. Damn it.
You're supposed to martingale, Andy.
I know. Oh, God. I'm up to the national debt for this year then. Dallas. Detroit coming off a win. We're saying this for the first time since like last December. It's been a long December. This is another decent teaser leg. I don't trust Teddy as far as I can throw him. He's thrown a couple bad picks.
He's a little guy. You might be able to throw him.
I would probably throw the guy. But are we betting the Lions is this a sell high spot on the Lions? Minnesota has a much worse defense than this.
I would tell you that it was. But there are a couple of years I remember a team that has fought and struggled and finally got their first win. Yeah. Came back out the next week and got another win. Jets did it last year. Remember they went back-to-back at Rams and then beat the Browns. The Browns win was more about who was available in the COVID shit. But I don't know. Lions don't match up well against this Broncos team. It's going to be outdoors. It's going to be at altitude. Jared Goff has little tiny hands. The Broncos
and it
have
doesn't
a good
seem
secondary.
as Swift probably is not playing again. Hawkinson is on the injury report. Goff is actually not practicing, I believe was what we saw. He is out there, and that's the other thing. So not only is Goff not practicing with an illness, I guess there is a flu going around, which might be the bottle flu. Like they might have just got super fucked up after the game. They have how bad a hangover is now, Drew. When you're when you're pushing 40.
Of course, man.
They last 3 days. Like
Dan Campbell probably let loose so much that he's still coming down. Yeah,
drinking, taking shots out of people's kneecaps and just getting effed up. So I don't know, but just take that with a grain of salt. There is a flu outbreak apparently in the Detroit locker room. A couple guys are feeling ill, and Goff was sick enough to not practice today. This is another nice teaser leg.
Nice look. I like that.
Happy day.
I like it. Let's move on to. That's a nice little ugly teaser there, Seattle, Denver. Nice.
The ugliest.
Another game impacted by COVID here. Man, and potentially the Jake Fromm on the road for the Giants at the Chargers. Chargers in an absolutely brutal.
Saw that.
An absolutely brutal spot. Chargers have a little bit of a look ahead spot here with Kansas City on Thursday. That game likely decides the AFC West, assuming that they get this win. It's conditional on the Chargers not losing focus, not losing this game to the plucky Giants. Giants, without looking, what is the Giants? Without looking, what is the Giants' record this season, Andy?
Like three wins.
They have 4 wins. They have won.
I know. I was
4
looking.
games.
I was looking right at it when you said it, so I made a bad guess on purpose
Okay.
to make you feel better.
Can you tell me the 4 teams they have beaten? I will. I'll give you 5 guesses.
So they did beat the Eagles. I remember I took them in the second half +4 there.
Correct.
They beat Carolina. Or was that was like the weird ass whoop. Like they beat the shit out of Carolina for some reason.
They did.
All right. They played and beat. Who was the team that went back-to-back to the Meadowlands earlier?
That was the Eagles.
That was the Eagles. Okay. Did they beat the football team?
No, they lost with the field goal at the end after the false
start. Yeah.
Oh,
God, they jumped off sides.
Yeah, offsides, yeah.
Oh, God, that's so gross. I'm
that's one of your 4 guesses. So 5 guesses. No. They lost to Dallas 44-20. Not a close game. They lost. They beat the Saints in overtime down in the Superdome. 27-21, and they beat the Las Vegas Raiders the week after the Ruggs incident. They beat the Raiders 23-16. So 4 weird wins for the Giants this year. I'm hopeful as just someone who'd like to see the Chargers get into the playoffs and have a home game. I think the Chargers are they're not a bet at 10, but I think they get the win ultimately. So what's your read on this game, on the Chargers in general? Do you think there are any meaningful pieces out for the Chargers that impact this game, this handicap, or are you looking ahead to Chargers Chiefs week 15?
Do you really want to bet a game on a Wednesday? So we're sitting here on a Wednesday. This is the problem with the podcast. And I love this podcast with all my heart, and I love you guys. But we're sitting here on Wednesday, and you can say, like, yeah, all those guys suck. But not knowing who the quarterback is, do you really want to be betting this? Like, it could be DJ is unlikely. Glennon, possible. But there's a decent chance you might be betting on a Jake Fromm game because I am not quite at 10.5 here. But am I betting on Jake Fromm? Probably not something I want to do with my money. Tony probably doesn't go. Galladay and Shepard are fighting injuries. Saquon looks like shit. I mean, he just looks like he was overdrafted and underprepared for life. And then at the same time, we got this COVID stuff where they've gone back and forth with the Mike Williams and Chris Harris stuff. Keenan's not cleared yet. So let's say Mike Williams doesn't play and Keenan doesn't play. Drew, who's the number 1 receiver on the Chargers at that point?
Guyton.
Yeah.
Well, probably still Eckler, right?
It's a running back or a tight end.
Yeah, maybe. What's Jared Cook?
Jared Cook.
Cookie's having a little resurgence. Donald Parham. It's going to be a Guyton Parham Cook kind of game.
Yeah,
I don't love it.
So, yeah, if you want to lay double digits with a team that might not have any of its good receivers, feel free. If you want to take double digits, and again, this could swing so hard one way. All of a sudden, it's Jake Fromm, Tony and Galladay are sitting, and Keenan and Williams play. Then -10 feels great. But if it goes the complete other way, and honestly, Mike Glennon, not the worst. Like, he's not good, but I'd take him over Jake Fromm probably right now. I really, really don't think Daniel Jones plays. It's not like a 2-point adjustment, but a little more experience in running some sort of game manager game plan against a defense that, let's face it, you're just going to run on 30 times anyway. Like, if it ends up being, Glennon and the injury report for the wide receiver room for the Giants turns out okay, and then Allen and Williams are out, like, again, you're probably feeling very good about a +10. So, not a game I'm excited.
Yeah. No, I can't blame you, really. Yeah, it's a bummer. Let's move on.
Yeah,
we do get that one. We do get that one on Fox. Meanwhile, CBS is hoarding both the Niners, Bengals in the afternoon and the Bills at the Buccaneers, which is the next game we want to talk about. Tough handicap. Good game.
I bet this on Sunday too.
We bet Bills, right? Or you bet Bills?
3.5.
I say you. I didn't get a very big bet down on it. I think I forgot to put it in the tracking app as well, but I will do that. Bills. Bills is the side here. Bills live, I think, actually, to get this win.
I absolutely do too. I thought about that when I said, man, 3.5 isn't going to be there forever. And when I did it, I don't think money lines were up. Money lines aren't usually up. Not for, I think maybe Bet Online has them right away. But I thought maybe I should put a little bit on this money line too, because 3.5 is nice, but also it's a high variance game, a high total, couple offenses that can pop some quick scores. I'm not sure if there's a huge big value in the 3 in a game like this. At the same time, I'm happy to have the points, but I think the Bills are very, very live to take this one outright.
Mm-hmm.
And Brady's been a little careless with the ball. This offense looks good when it looks good, but when it looks bad, they're scoring touchdowns in the wrong direction. Pick sixes are often a variance play. Like you throw an interception to the wrong part of the field, and just sometimes it's just like the way that play was run, all the wide receivers are blocking over here, and he has open room. Like it's not like the quarterback is worse because he threw a pick six rather than just a pick where the guy falls down.
Mm-hmm.
So like. I shouldn't just rag on him because he's had a couple of those, but the interceptions in general have been a little troublesome for a team that's now got 3 losses. And I think the Bills, I've never really downgraded them. I'm fine with that. I thought they played a fine game. They probably should have beat the Patriots. Like they had chances at the end. The Patriots outgained the piss out of them because they could and they did on the ground. But in the long run, they were down there in the red zone with a chance to. There would have been time left. Too much time for Tommy isn't a thing anymore, but too much time for Mac to get a field goal. With the win, I think that game had overtime written all over it. So I didn't downgrade Buffalo a ton. I'm right there. Like even on the road here, I make this like 2.
Yep. And honestly, this has a lot of whiffs of, but when Kansas City went to Tampa Bay last year, right before Tampa Bay's bye, and they have the offense that's really going to potentially make this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense hurt. Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense has a tendency to allow the big play. They play very aggressively in the pass defense, and they're going to be missing their best piece potentially in Jamel Dean. And that spells trouble. This has all the makings of like a 12 reception, 200-yard game for Stephon Diggs.
And Trey White on the other side. Like, why aren't we just hammering ball to overs?
Yeah, I think the secret pod play, the one that I had written the most excited about was Buffalo over 24.5. Because I think this is a 27, 28, 31 type of performance from them. I can see Tampa Bay coming in and trying to be a little too cute, a little too much on the ground. We're going to do it the same way Indy did it and New England did it, and they can't quite get that same win in the rushing attack. Meanwhile, it's if they're a little lackluster, if they let the Bills get out to a lead here, I think I'm feeling real good about having the points and or the over, because I think you're going to have a live spot to bet some Tampa Bay to come back. Whether they get the win, I think is an open question, but Buffalo is the right side, especially if you get the hook.
And don't be afraid of a little money line there. Take a sprinkle. A lot of people liking the over in this, and yeah, it does feel like if this one gets loose and the cornerback injuries are mattering and all these receivers are playing well and the quarterbacks aren't making bad decisions. And we've seen both of these guys, especially the one guy who's done it for 20 years, have very good games. I think the weather's looking good. Last I checked down in the Tampa region, I think the Cannons might be firing a lot and they still lose the game. So I do lean towards this over despite the high number. And hopefully we get a good game because we are not getting a good one at night. My God.
Yeah, the Pistons meltdown is disappointing, Anthony. Did you see they gave up a 10-0 run to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to start the second half and then an 8-0 run to Kyle Kuzma to start the fourth quarter? Very frustrating that they let this game slip away like that. Detroit kind of has this very letdowny mentality and late in these games. It's very weird. Yeah, Buffalo, Tampa, I think we've said all we can say. What do you think about Buffalo over 24.5 as the secret pod play?
I love that. I want it.
Yeah. All right. Let's do that. Let's just end it there then for Buffalo.
Birthday boy says it's gonna be hot and humid.
Ooh.
Josh Allen can handle anything. He went to Wyoming.
Honestly, this is actually kind of a funny thought about Buffalo that I wanted to circle back on. The way that they're rostered and the way that they are, they're weak. We know exactly the type of team and the type of situation that doesn't really play into their strength at this point. And it's exactly the game that they were in on Monday.
Yeah.
Are they better off going into the playoffs as a wild card? Like, does that throw the market off the scent a little bit? And now all of a sudden they're like potentially in some domes or some warmer weather. They're going to Tennessee instead of, having Tennessee come to them or having Indy come to them.
Or are they the anti-Indy?
Are they the anti-Indy?
Where it's like, hey,
no, we're saying both of them are both of those teams better off on the road?
Well, no, Indy because I'd like them as an outdoor team. Buffalo because I don't like them as a cold weather team. I don't want them. Right. I want them on a fast track in the South. Give me them in the.
I don't want Indy in the dome, and I don't want Buffalo in the cold. Wind.
Could they do like a wife swap for the playoffs where they swap home fields?
Well, the hysterical thing is going to be if they go in as like the 5 and the 7, and then they both win, and then it's Buffalo hosting Indy in the cold. I think that's not crazy, honestly. I could see Buffalo Indy as our AFC Championship game.
That would be so fun.
They would be.
Especially, I hope there's like 3 feet of snow for that game. And they don't cancel it like those, no offense, Giorgio. Those Italians. Atalanta. Playing tomorrow. I should check if that bet's still pending. A lot of places will just leave those bets pending.
I'm sure, of course they will.
If it's just a reschedule. I know bookmakers pretty hard about that. I didn't bet it there, but I know they are like, if it's not on the date, it's not a bet.
I think that's a fair rule, personally. I would run.
I don't disagree with it. I just, again, it's a good lesson. Like, know the rules.
Tennis is different, obviously. Tennis, once the match, it's
always
live,
know. Always know the rules for individual sports because they will cancel anything. We learned a lot about it last year when they were like, they moved the Steelers game 3 times and everyone's like, oh, I got, my tickets are canceled. And like 7 people are like, well, I betted at this whatever shop. And they're like, I think William Hill was just like, fuck it, roll with it. Keep them.
It's live.
Yeah. And I think, 24-hour that you see the 24-hour rule too. So hopefully Atalanta, Bergamo, Calcio can get over 3 goals tomorrow.
Good work, man. Let's talk about Sunday Night Football, I guess.
Waiting all week for what? The Packers are 12.5-point favorites. The total is 43.5. We'll be back Thursday night for halftime of the Vikings Steelers game. And we appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. Thanks a lot. If you listen to the podcast, rate, review, subscribe. Justin Fields is going to play. Do we have some fun with that? Jair Alexander is close to returning.
What did you think of the fact that the Bears were a hot side when they played the Packers the last time? And now market is not interested in any Bears.
Much less interested.
What do you think of that?
The offensive line has been getting beat to shit. Mm-hmm. The quarterbacks have been not helping.
Mm-hmm.
Allen Robinson, close to returning. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Montgomery's still banged up a bit. I don't know what to do with this game, man. Green Bay, you've got. Doesn't it feel like they're mentioning this toe injury an awful lot? Like there's just going to be one of these times where it's like, oh shit, like he's hurt. Like he's going to get stepped on.
Doesn't look good.
Or he's going to push off of that foot wrong and it's just going to crack. And you're going to be, I mean, you can't just be like, I'm not betting Packers games because the toe might break. But I worry about that toe a little more. It keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
So
you are a toe guy. So
I am absolutely. I sold feet picks during the pandemic.
You do what you can to make ends meet, I think, is really what it comes down to. Yeah. Not looking like we're going to get much weather in this one. I'm seeing current projections. 0% precipitation, 34-ish degrees, 10-mile-an-hour winds. Should be a decent weather game. This total, particularly the total for the Bears, is very, very low. Is the Green Bay Packers defense so amazing that they're going to be able to hold the Bears pretty comfortably under 3 scores?
I don't know. I've just been go look at the Bears drive charts. They just have no creativity. They're not using.
Mhm.
I mean, go look at a game. It's just that they're not doing anything that you see successful teams do to move the ball.
Right.
It's a rough scene.
Okay.
As I'm sitting here, I'm about to lose an under as a team's fouling down by 9 with 10 seconds to go.
Oh no. Yeah, not a great night for my bets either. Probably should.
I hate when totals go this way. But eventually get it. That's the things that, you take the good, you take the bad, you take it all. There you have the facts of life.
Yeah.
But sometimes it helps you. Like you have that over and this team is down 12 and they're fouling and you're like, fuck yeah, don't ever give up. Like you guys need to take a timeout and listen to the Valvano speech and you need to get out there and win this game even though they're down by a bunch. So we snuck in by.
I'm excited to see how my Houston +6 loses. That one's gonna be interesting. They are up 67-52 at half to Brooklyn. Did you bet anything? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So here's the thing. I joked with somebody about this as we're just trying to avoid this Bears game. He's like, hey, you're betting a lot of totals this year. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of only invented that model like 2 weeks ago. I back tested well, but hopefully it works. And like totals are working.
Mm-hmm.
I can't hit a side for my life.
Wow.
And sides were the only thing I did. I think totals are 3-0 tonight so far.
Interesting.
And Niagara couldn't get a win. So,
well, they fought hard.
Hard triers.
You always have 2021.
We will.
Was it last year or 2 years ago?
It was 2 years ago. We played a lot of them.
You always have 2020-19.
I have a pair of shorts from them. So, what do you make this just on paper? What do you make this line?
10.5. What about you?
Are you gonna bet the Bears then?
No.
Why not?
There's not a ton of value between 10.5 and 12.5.
No, I love that. First off, they're dead numbers. Like 12, 11 aren't big. There's not a lot of win probability there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just. I mean, this game could be like 21-7 going into the fourth quarter, and I would have zero faith of a backdoor.
I think that actually you just described the Bears Packers in prime time last year with Mitchell Trubisky at the helm. Wasn't that like 21-17 going to the fourth quarter, and then it managed to go over the total?
Yeah, something weird like that.
I feel like the total's a little too low. I don't know that I have the same respect for this Green Bay defense that the market does at this time. The last 2 times out, the Green Bay defense conceded 28 points to the Rams, 34 points to the Vikings. Prior to that, they held the Seahawks to 0, the Chiefs to 13, the Cardinals to 21. So a little bit of a mixed bag of late, particularly for this Packers defense. The Packers defense was kind of keeping it all together with like sticks and twine and chewing gum, and it did the stress of all of that and all of their injuries and everybody that's been missing time for them, I think is potentially catching up to them a bit. I think the Packers get a win, but they're a little overrated to me by the market. Packers may get the 1 seed in the NFC still, especially if if you're feeling the Packers, if you have a more optimistic outlook, about Aaron Rodgers' toe than Andy does, now is the time to really think hard about them in the futures market, because I think they're probably getting the 1 seed. Tampa Bay, I think, is going to sleepwalk their way into a wild card game at home. What do you think?
If it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Worked last year. But they do seem a little like the Washington loss. It's just incredulous. Like, hey, you have all these good receivers. Washington can't stop receivers. What are we doing?
Yeah. Some real sloppy stuff at times.
Backdoor Mitch is not backdoor Mitch. If Mitch Trubisky, and we shit on that guy for years, but boy, he was good at that. Like you can go find second half halftime bets that we said, like, we're kind of going to be relying on Mitch to get a garbage touchdown to make this play. And he does. And it makes it even funnier when it happens.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's been a thing. So Green Bay 1 seed is plus 250, says Sign Collectibles 1, who I believe
really?
is a bit of a collector.
Huh.
Not unlike Benicio del Toro.
You know what I
Universe.
you know what I really don't love? Pistons missing free throws.
Well, I hate it when anybody
here,
misses bunnies.
Clown show out here. That I guess what let me look at real quick at the Packers. Actually, you know what? Let's table this. I don't really give a shit about this game. Let's talk about 3 look aheads because there are really good ones out there, and we are only at 1 hour and 20, so we're a little under serving you if you expect us to give you 90 minutes of football handicapping talk.
Can I guess what they are?
Yes, please.
All
I know
right.
you know. I know you know which ones. There are 3 that stand out very obviously as what the fuck are these lines?
All right. New England, Indy.
Yes.
Okay.
We're making New England a favorite on the road against Indianapolis. Both of the teams coming off of buys.
Little taste of your own medicine. Kansas City in LA.
Yeah, that one very much.
Yeah, that
3 points, -3.
-3 in that one. And I was just gonna joke and say Houston, Jacksonville. Woof, woof. What is going on there?
Flush that game.
And really, honestly, we didn't want to talk Packers.
Yeah,
Packers only laying 2.5 or 3 in Baltimore against a defense that is pretty broken right now.
What?
Jair Alexander on the cusp of making a return. Did I pick all 3?
Yes, those were the 3.
Wow.
Yeah. Very surprising. Very surprising. I think I guess I'm not worried about running and getting the Chargers number now. Decent chance the Chargers eke out an ugly win against the Giants with all their, all the players missing. Decent chance the Chiefs hang it on the Raiders with the cover 2 situation. But the Chargers match up absolutely brilliantly against the Chiefs, especially defensively, scheme-wise, and what they like to run and how they are rostered. It's basically night and day Raiders defense versus Chiefs offense, Chargers defense versus Chiefs offense. Like it's a beautiful symmetry. The other 2, Colts Pats, I don't think is going to move because both teams are on bye.
No, even though we've seen that happen.
So there's no rush
3
to
fucking
get
times.
involved in that. I know we have. That's true. That's true. You know what's weird though? And
I wonder if just look ahead money at the right places on the screen is enough because limits are low and it's like, hey, somebody just maxed it at a shitload of, it just got hit at trade wins like everywhere.
Yeah. Is now the sell high on the Patriots. Are they going to lose to the Colts and the Bills next 2 games?
It feels like split is kind of a best case. I think they might lose both.
Yeah. What was your general takeaway from Monday night's finale? Belichick the genius for the way he handled that game, or got a little too cute trying to win a game with one arm tied behind his back?
Yeah, I think they were like, it's the hardest box score to look at for me because it's like, yeah, you put up a lot of yards, but it didn't feel like productive yards sometimes, and you put yourself in some third downs that I think you were lucky to pull out sometimes. And I should go look at the third down numbers, I guess, but it worked. I mean, the result is there. It worked for them, but at the same time, it's like, man, that's not going to work. That's not repeatable. The Bills were like a couple Dawson Knox drops away from being much better in the first.
Diggs drops.
The Diggs drop. Oh man, his arm. The Knox drop. Which there was a guy that was doing a pretty good job of defending him in the end zone there, but that fourth down felt like that was very close to being a game changer. So, Indy may be the secret chat play next week, says Sam.
Sneak
peek at the process here.
Harris picking up an injury. Defense starting to kind of feel themselves a little bit. There's a lot of warning signs really around this Pats team at this point in time. The way they're being valued by the market that I am struggling to square with my numbers. they've had a very, very easy schedule. Of course, you can say the same thing for the Bills. And here I am saying that the Bills are going to give the Buccaneers a test this week. So, it goes around.
It's just a matchup.
It's a good matchup. It's a good matchup for them. Like in the same way as the Patriots were a bad matchup for them. Same way the Colts were a bad matchup for them. Bucs are a good one for them. That I can see a world where the one other thing I was going to mention to you, this is the 4th year in a row that the Patriots are co-buys with their next opponent. Did you know that?
We brought it up once in a chat. We talked about it.
Do you think that Belichick feels that that's a tactical advantage?
It has to be. It's not random.
Okay.
So and what Drew's saying is they come off a bye and play somebody off a bye 4 years in a row.
Yes.
Like he's asking.
This is the 4th year in a row.
So that's saying basically to me, there's a couple different ways to approach it. But I think the most likely is Bill saying, "I'm better at coming off a bye than you, and right. I'd rather not waste it. Like neuter it. That's fine. I think that's hilarious. Like I don't want to waste it on a game where I'm much more rested than you. I'd like you to be just as rested. If that makes any sense, I don't know.
Sure.
I'm trying to puzzle it out. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
He doesn't want. He might think that
he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to play a team.
This is all. By the way, this is all after they changed the rules about how much practice you can do during the bye.
Yeah.
Right. So he may be like he may be thinking, the rest is an advantage, but like the prep time is a disadvantage. And so for that reason, we don't want to come off because teams off of a bye against the spread this season. It ain't pretty. It is not good. And maybe he was ahead of this and he really just thought that they're better off going head to head versus another team off of a bye. But it's weird. No one else is exploring this. I can tell you, I do think the more I've thought about it this year, particularly with the 17-game schedule, the more I believe that the later buys are an advantage for a lot of these teams. Yeah. Teams that had their buys week 4 that are just kind of really pushing themselves through this portion of the schedule, I don't think are going to, if they're in playoff contention, I'm not as excited about them as teams that are getting buys now that are going to be a little bit more healthy.
I really, this is.
Do you agree with that?
And I heartily agree. And neither here nor there, but I think when we see an 18-game season, we need 2 buys because it's going to be such a massive disadvantage to have like 12 games in a row.
Oh, seriously.
So,
yeah.
And then into the playoffs, possibly off a team that just got some rest.
So instead of a 19-week season, we'll jump right to a 20-week season.
Yeah. Add 2 more weeks. Start the shit in August. Make us start previews on like Flag Day.
I'll be ready.
I'm ready.
I'll be ready.
I'm already getting previews ready for next year, guys.
So then the last game then was the Ravens and the Packers. I think after the Ravens, if the Ravens look the way we think they will look here, this could be awful. Like that, like this could 2.5, getting the Packers at 2.5 could be like we could have a good belly laugh about that on Sunday.
Early Christmas gift.
Early Christmas gift.
Yeah. I'm going to bet that. My second look ahead, 1-1 look ahead this year. That's my favorite. I'm going to bet the Packers here in the look ahead.
I like it, man. I like it. I'm desperately trying to figure out why they reversed the call in Detroit, and Detroit did not get the free throws they were promised. That was an absolute bullshit reversal.
They were promised free throws?
Well,
did the ref
they
pinky swear?
They deserved them, and now they're going to end up missing, fouling, and not covering, which is a real fuckeroony.
I will go down with
it's okay though. Ship. It happens. Miami looking freaking amazing all of a sudden. They came back hard on Milwaukee. Let's hope.
How are my Bulls doing?
6th man of the year Tyler Hero is having a game.
All right, I just bet the Packers.
Your Bulls. Do you really want to talk about that?
Are they not doing good?
They lost badly to Cleveland.
They absolutely punted a game. You have to do it. You got to get some rest.
You saw who didn't play for them. They have a little COVID thing going on, and on top of that, no Alex Caruso.
It's part of the process, guys.
Yeah, it's part of the process. Bulls.
You want to win in the playoffs.
You win 4, you lose 1. You win 4, you lose 1. You don't want to. You got to keep your players hungry.
I just need 45 wins.
I think you're going to get it.
Well, yeah, I'm going to get it.
Great.
They're good.
They're not as comfortable over as the Cleveland Cavaliers will be.
Oh my God, what was their win total? Like 30?
23. You're gonna punch that. I'm guessing. I don't actually know it off the top of my head, but
it was probably 26.
You're gonna punch that ticket in January. I feel like it's coming up quickly. So kind of wild.
All right, I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna go tuck the kids in.
All right, man.
Bet some look ahead lines. I just did bet the Packers. I found a -2.
Ooh. No, that's
not that many places have look aheads. You got to look around a little bit.
That's nice.
Otherwise, hey, you know what? Good job in the.
Yes.
Good job in the old
Stewart gets the layup. 2-point game with 20 seconds. What are the chances my 5.5 gets home?
I'd say
2-point game with 20 seconds.
I am now sweating the Dayton SMU over, which the live total.
Free throws. Come on.
The live total is only 2.5 points higher than the pregame. So I'm not in bad shape, but you know how that can go. A drought can absolutely kill that. So we're sweating yet another total tonight.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go watch the end of Wiz Pistons. Best of luck this weekend. We're at 90 minutes.
The Wiz.
the Michael Jackson movie.
It's not that bad.
Oh my God, you haven't seen it in a long time, man.
Oh, Diana Ross.
It's horrificaly bad.
Diana Ross is stunning in that movie.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but
I won't watch the fight. I won't watch the Wiz.
Is something.
Who was talking to me about? Who was talking to me about Good Will Hunting today?
I don't know, but I'm not.
It's Kelly. I'm gonna go watch that.
I'm not in the mind space to watch that this time of year. No, thank you.
Okay, last thing before we go. When he sends Ben Affleck on those job interviews, that kills me every time. What was the secret pod play? Buffalo over.
Buffalo. Yep.
Buffalo team total over.
They forced the turnover. Detroit Pistons ball. 13 seconds left. Down by 2. They are going to blow this cover in overtime. Let's fucking go.
I might watch the Muppet movie instead. All right, Dan, take us out.
Dude, pick a good Christmas movie.
Have you ever seen the Muppet movie though? It's
hell yeah, love the Muppet for sure. But there's if you want to watch Muppet Christmas Carol, although Christmas Carol is not my favorite tale. This guy's got to be a good. Got to be a good. Got to be a good Christmas.